All right, hey flower friends, it is that time again for another felt flower tutorial. Today we are making the gorgeous and beautiful peace rose. All right, let's get started. But before we do, because we're here, don't forget to do all the things like the liking and the subscribing and the checking out my website and links and all of that silly mumbo stuff. But I have to say it because it helps my shop and it helps support me as a maker to keep coming back. Now that that's out of the way, let's actually make this beautiful flower. All right, so now that I'm gonna go back to saying links below, it's not irritating that someone says like links below every 5 seconds. Link below to the digital download to get an SVG and a PDF pattern for freezer paper so that you can print it out at home or cut it on your Silhouette Cameo or your Cricut Maker 3 with the rotary blade. So this is a PDF pattern printed onto freezer paper that I've already ironed on. If you want more details on how to iron on freezer paper stencils, check out the freezer paper stencil video. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut a few of these out. This is how easy it is to cut them out on freezer paper, which is also another reason why I really love doing freezer paper stencils. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the 2 petals out that I need. And then you're gonna pretend like I already cut out all of them. So I love using my big shear scissors for bigger petal projects because it just makes really nice, beautiful cleaner cuts. I love also using freezer paper versus just doing tracing as well because the freezer paper makes the felt much stiffer and less flopsy when you're trying to cut, so that definitely helps as well. So here we have our 2 petals cut out, but we're gonna pretend that we did 3. We're gonna go ahead and take a heat erasable pen as we peel these and write right in the middle what number petal they were. This is not necessary per se, but it definitely helps you keep more organized as you're working with your workflow because every single petal is 100% different. So you're not repeating any petals. So I like to write right smack in the middle because this is where you're going to apply your hot glue and attach petals on petals on petals. So you're never gonna see this area. This will disappear with heat, but it's not a big deal because it's gonna get covered. So if you wanted to use a pencil or some other kind of marking tool, you totally can. Just don't use a felt tip marker, and I will tell you why later, and you'll see exactly why not to use a felt tip marker because it was gross and ugly. So that's if you were using the freezer paper stencil. I also cut all of these. These are the other 5 petals that you could use, and I cut these out on the Cricut Maker 3 with the rotary blade, with the felt setting, and it cuts beautiful. So the other pieces that you need is, well, that centerpiece, which is included, and then you need 6 of these leaves, and then 2 of these leaves. These all cut on the Maker, or you can totally hand cut them with the freezer paper stencils. Okay, but we're gonna put these aside because this is like the last step. We're gonna go ahead and just work with these 2 petals. For this project, I chose this permanent red pan pastel, super, super beautiful red shade, and it is just permanent red shade. So we're gonna go ahead and take our petals. We're gonna take one of our applique sponges here, just gently dab because even with one little dab of the pan pastel, it's so pigmented, picks up so much color that you really kind of wanna be careful with your dabbing so that you're not picking up too much. When it comes to pan pastel colors and felt colors, what I like to do is get onto Google or Pinterest and look up real roses and real flowers so that I can see what colors are really in nature, because honestly, even with this project, I sat and stared at my pan pastels for probably like 20 to 30 minutes being like, what color do I pick? And I did a bunch of tests and I did a bunch of like ideas, and I was just like, I can't tell, I'm not sure. Honestly, as soon as I went onto Google and Pinterest, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I wanna do. Solid choice, easy peasy. So we're gonna go ahead and keep going all around, and you're gonna do the exact same thing on all 5 of your petals. And I like to do my first swipe kind of at the bottom. So if I put too much pan pastel on it, it's not a big deal because like this area is not gonna be seen so much. Just keep going. Ta-da! Aren't they beautiful? Let's put our pan pastels away. We're gonna take these petals off. For this project, we're gonna go ahead and stiffen our felt. I like using this hairspray because it is like $3 at Walmart, which is great. And it's unscented and the ultra mega freeze hold. So you can also use fabric stiffener. I find that the fabric stiffener takes longer to dry and is like 3 times the amount of price. The amount that I use my spray, I like to use this over like the fabric stiffener. They both work great. It's just, this is significantly cheaper. It just makes more sense for me. So we're gonna go ahead and generously spray. Like so. And now we're just gonna leave these to dry. Oh look, dry petals that have been dyed. Isn't that just snazzy? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and curl these now. I'm gonna go ahead and use 2 different curling techniques right now. I have 2 other videos, actually 3 other videos on how to use these heat tools. I've got 2 videos on how to use the soldering iron. One is all about just the safety tips and tricks on this one, and I highly recommend you watch that because this sucker does get a little scary and can be super intimidating, and I hope that video will help you not fear the iron and go ahead and give you the confidence that you need to use it. And then another one goes into all the different tips and tricks on how to actually use it and apply the iron settings and tools. The other thing I'm gonna use is this curling iron, and it is set to about 240 degrees. And this just is a round tip on the top, and it just gives a nice curling aspect. There is another tip that you could put on the soldering iron and use that for the same curling, but I feel like I have more control with the curling iron, so I actually like using both tools simultaneously versus changing the tip out for the tip and tool and size that you want. So it's important to use one of these little heat safe gloves, and this came with my iron. These are super easy and cheap to get. So we're gonna take the petal here. So we're just gonna go ahead and twist and move the heat around and make sure it's really, really in there just to make this nice curved top shape. And we're gonna do the exact same thing on all of our petals. Ta-da! Now that we have this shape and it's all curled, and again, gonna repeat that on all of your other petals as well. We're gonna go ahead and whip out our soldering iron. This tip is actually specifically for folding rose petals over. So we're gonna roll this on its back. So this is what we're working with here. And we're gonna put quite a bit of pressure and just roll it around. Again, check out my safety video and how to use video, and it'll give you lots of tips and tricks on how to use this. So that's gonna give it this like nice curled look. I like to kind of go from the bottom up to the top and then kind of roll it around. Now, going deeper in versus right at the edge will give you different curls as well. So play around with it and have some fun when doing this part, and then you'll get different looks and feels. This is the final look, but we have like a scoop right in the middle and then it kind of folding over on the edges. I used a felt marker to write my numbers. This is number 2. And when I sprayed them with the hairspray, they all just totally blurred and blended. This is why you should not use a felt tip marker to write your numbers before you spray it. Again, this is gonna get covered in glue, so I'm not worried about it, but you can't really read the numbers, so that is definitely a problem, and it defeats the whole purpose of what I did that for. Let's start building. So I've got this piece here, we did not dye, but we are gonna go ahead and make a cone shape. So we've got our hot glue gun. We're gonna put a little bit of glue right along half of that here, fold it and make a cone shape, like so. And then we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna move these out of the way so they're not so distracting. We're gonna go ahead and put some glue around the tip here and put it right on our felt ball. And this is just gonna give a really nice sturdy base to our flower, so that way nothing's just like falling off and rolling off, and you have something to grab really, really well. Okay. So now let's grab these and we're gonna put them in order. So that's 5, 3, this is 1. That's 4, this is 2. And sometimes I like to work like this too. So if you don't write numbers on it, just reference the SVG or reference the PDF printable. That way you can see like, okay, just put them in order so you know which way to go, and it just makes things way faster. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put some glue here, attach it to our felt ball. We're gonna take our first side. So on this first one, we're gonna roll these up pretty tightly, like so. We want to apply our glue kind of high and putting it kind of at the base. So I'm doing a pretty generous amount because we're rolling this up pretty high. I'm gonna start with this one, and then we're gonna roll it, and then start with the next. And these are gonna kind of overlap as well, and just hold it until that glue sets. And then you can just like dry fit it too. Sometimes I like to just like hold it up and see where it lands first before I decide where I'm gonna put my glue, and it gives me a better idea before I just like commit to gluing it. I love my Surebonder glue gun because I swear they make the best glue guns, and I love the fine detail point of it, and it definitely makes sure the glue goes where exactly I want it to go. Okay, so that was petal shape number 1. So now we're gonna take petal shape 2. If you can tell, that's a beautiful 2 that I wrote, so it's very obvious, I know. So for this one, what I like to do before I put any glue down is kind of put my rose down and see kind of where I want it to land, which is about like right here, because the other ones get significantly easier with the 3 petals. This one is like the one you have to think about before you put it down, because you want to make sure that it doesn't look silly. Because I mean, if you did it like this, then you're like squared on. So the petals are like right next to each other, and I don't like that. So this one, be sure to kind of like play around with placement before you put the glue down. So I don't know, I'm kind of liking like right there-ish. So, okay. So I'm gonna put that straight down, throw some glue down, and put it straight back. So this time I'm not putting so much glue up so high. I'm making it a little bit lower, and that's gonna help when you put your petal up. You're gonna see like, okay, so I need to just put a little bit of glue on the very base and not super high up. Now we're gonna take petal number 3, and this is why it gets a little bit easier. So I have a big gap right here that needs a petal. So we're gonna square that up right there. And then when I do the dry fit of it, I'm like, oh, I don't really like that. So I'm gonna turn it, I'm gonna try it over here, which I like better. So that's the important part of building any flower, is before you put any glue down, make sure you kind of dry fit it first, just to make sure, because once you put that glue down and you start gluing stuff, you're like, oh no, I messed it up. And then it's way harder to go backwards. In fact, I'm gonna keep playing with it and turning it until I find, see, I actually like that better. See, it's just the more you play with it, the more you're gonna find the beauty in it all. Okay, so I'm gonna pick this up straight off and down so I don't lose that paste. Put some glue down and put this right back. Okay, just like that. And then again, we're gonna throw some glue on the bottom, and I'm going really, really close to the edge here. And this is the thing I really love about this rose, is that yes, the prep work feels intense on this one, but it comes together really fast. Like once you start actually gluing, it comes together very quickly and very easily. We're just gonna keep going. So we're gonna grab our number 4. And then this one, it starts getting a little bit easier because you're just gonna like balance the rose out a little bit. Also, this is a great time. I'm sure you've caught all of the videos about covering your flowers in fabric. So one of the thumbnail photos is literally this exact rose with fabric on it. So go check out that video on how to cover your felt with fabric and make this exact flower, but literally with fabric, and it makes it super, super cool. Okay, so I'm gonna pull that off. And if it's got fabric on it, it glues together the exact same way. So now it's gonna start getting a little flopsy here on the base. So we're gonna put barely any glue and just kind of touch it up on each one of these petals. And as you can see, like all of that crazy black ink that I put on there, it's totally gone. Don't see it. So not a big deal if you like mess up that center with a marker or anything. All right, so last petal, we're gonna do it, I think, right there. Looks pretty darn good. Okay, so for this one, really, I only put glue right smack in the center, because on these petals, I kind of like the look of it. Let's see if we can get this like bending down. I like that. And you'll see it more when we put the stem on it, but like, I kind of like how they flare out and down like a really, really open rose. So there's our rose face. I mean, she's basically done. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. But now let's go ahead and finish it off with a stem. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and work on the base of our flower. So let's make our leaves first. So we'll put that guy there, him here. So we're gonna take a piece of 22 gauge wire. Now you can do this a few different methods. I am doing the twist method, but if you wanted to use floral tape, you could do that as well. This is just a little bit quicker, but again, you could do this whole process of putting this together with floral tape, and it does maybe make a little bit of a cleaner flower. But we're gonna cut this, and this is about 8 inches long right here. Oh, went in the wrong spot. And then we're gonna go ahead and cut this smack in half. So we're gonna come out with 3 different pieces. So these are about 3 inches long and that's 8 inches long. So we're gonna take our leaves and we're gonna put a leaf on basically like each and every end of this wire. So I'm gonna throw some glue on the bottom, and this is just a basic pinch leaf, super easy, not hard. Although you did some really, really fun, complicated things with this rose, so pat yourself on the back because you're an awesome felt florist now, and it's super exciting and cool. So you got this. This is like home stretch material. So we're gonna just do some pinch leaves like so. And I definitely have some glue that went out of here, which is, come on, amateur hour here. Take your snizzy little snips here and just cut that right off. No one will know. No one will know that you put a little too much extra glue. We're gonna just repeat this on every single wire. So now we're gonna go ahead and attach our leaves to our main wire. Get all these spider webs off, which are super annoying. But we're gonna go ahead and just holding really, really tightly, just twist our leaf down. I'm working my way down a little bit because I don't like my leaves super, super just level. I like them a little like catty corner a little bit. We're gonna do that on both sides. Voila! Our leaf stem, super, super easy. All right, let's set that aside. We're gonna take our pliers again, which are right in front of me, and our 18 gauge wire. You definitely want a sturdy wire for this part because you're holding up kind of a beefy flower. So we're gonna go ahead and take one side and we're gonna make a little bit of a table. We're just gonna twist and make a snail here. And I'm making this pretty decently large table because it is a beefy, bigger rose. So you wanna make sure that it has a really solid base. And then so we made our snail, and then we're gonna twist it over, kind of on top of itself, flatten it right smack in the middle here, and then just turn it facing up. So you have a table. Okay, so we're gonna take these leaves now, and we're gonna go ahead and fish our wire through it, and I'm just literally twisting the wire through it, so super easy. And then we're gonna do our second one. So on this one, before we make it all the way to the top, we're going to add a little bit of glue around this base circle to connect these together. And we're gonna catty corner it so that way they're offset. All the leaves are offset here. Okay, so this is the top here. This is what we're going to attach to our rose. I'm gonna bend my wire so it's not so aggressively in your face. Okay, being tangled. Okay, so we're gonna add a generous amount of glue, and then I'm gonna go on this top leaf. I'm going kind of like a third of the way. You wanna make sure there's a lot of glue here to hold your rose in place because you don't want a flopsy rose and you don't want your rose falling off because that's embarrassing. All right, so we're gonna take our rose on the bottom, center it up, and I'm going to kind of like cup it down and fold it up. And kind of I'm putting my fingers in the middle of the rose to hit that kind of felt ball so that I have a lot of pressure here to make sure that it is like well set there before we move on. Okay. So there it is. I'm gonna take all these dumb little spider webs away because they're annoying. Okay, we'll move our wire back. And then I kind of like to fold these leaves a little bit down. Our second layer. So far so good. And let's more spider webs because spider webs are annoying. And let's add our leaf, and we're so close. Okay, so now we have our leaf. We're gonna do the same thing by holding it nice and tight. I'm starting kind of close to the top here. And then working our way down. I'm putting big gaps, so I'm working my way down significantly so that they're not right on top of each other. Okay, so we're gonna move this right here, and then we're gonna fold this guy up here. Here we go. Here's our beautiful peace rose. And I've made quite a few of these in a bunch of different colorways, so be creative, have fun with this, and really, really enjoy making your flowers. And be sure to tag me in all of your posts that you share your flowers because I want to see, and drop any questions below that you may have. Happy to help, and I'm here for that. All right, thanks guys. Make sure that you Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And for your digital downloads for this, check out the link in my shop. Also, all of your felt products are there too. All right, thanks guys. Catch you next time.